Analysis of sexual offences under Indian Penal Code. Chapter 16, Section 375 to 377 of the Indian Penal Code 1860 deals with the sex-related offences. Rape. Of all the crimes, rape is the most obnoxious one, which violates bodily integrity and honor of a woman. The word rape has its origin from a Latin term rapio, which means to seize. Precisely, it means forceful seizure. Section 375 deals with provisions related to rape. As stated by Section 375 Indian Penal Code, a man is said to commit rape if he penetrates his penis through any extent into the vagina, mouth, urethra, or anus of a woman, or inserts any object to any extent or any part of a body other than the penis into the vagina, urethra, and anus of a woman, or put in his mouth into the vagina, urethra, or anus of a woman, or makes her to do so with him or any other person under the circumstances following under descriptions. Opposed to her will, in the absence of her consent, with consent when it has been acquired by putting her or any other person related to her under the fright of death or hurt, with consent obtained under the misconception of fact that the man was the person she was lawfully married to, when the consent is given by reason of unsoundness of mind or intoxication of any stupefying or unwholesome substance, when the girl is minor, no matter the consent is given or not, when she is not able to provide her consent. Further, the section states that penetration and insertion of an object can be to any extent, including even slightly and partially. The physical injuries to the private part of the woman are not essential. The only fact of penetration is sufficient to hold a person guilty. Due to the increase in instances of rape of a minor, revisions were made to the rape laws for inclusion of section 376 AB, 376 DA, and 376 DB. Marital rape. It has been recognized as an exception to rape in the definition of rape, stating that sexual intercourse or sexual activities with a man with his own wife not below 15 years of age is not rape. A wife is presumed to deliver relentless consent to have intercourse with her husband after setting foot into marital relations. The Supreme Court and various high courts of India are currently flooded with writ petitions challenging the constitutionality of this anomaly, and in a recent landmark judgment, the Supreme Court criminalized non-consensual sexual contact with spouse between 15 and 18 years of age. Marital rape is an inhuman practice and an infringement of Article 14 and Article 21 of the Constitution, which should be struck down. Punishment for rape. The punishment for the offence is given in section 376. Whoever commits rape shall be punished with rigorous incarceration of either description for a term which shall not be less than 10 years, but which may extend to incarceration for life, and shall also be accountable to fine. Some entities in section 376 are mentioned individually to be specific public servants, police officers, members of armed forces, members of jail staff, hospital management staff, relative or guardian are also subjected for rigorous imprisonment for not less than 10 years, which can be extended up to life imprisonment and will also be liable for the fine. Rape cases that lead to the death or permanent vegetative state of the victim becomes more serious. The offender will then be punished for rigorous imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 20 years, which may extend to life imprisonment. Whoever has sexually intercourse with his spouse living separately without her consent shall be punished with imprisonment of either for a term which shall not be less than 2 years, but which may extend to 7 years, and shall also be accountable to fine. The legislation have made separate provision for the sexual intercourse by a person in authority, which means if there is a fiduciary relationship between a man and a woman, where one person is in a position to dominate the other, like the relationship between a doctor and a patient, or by the manager of a jail of a custody, where a man who has committed the offence is liable to the rigorous imprisonment for not less than 5 years, which can extend up to 10 years, and is incorporated under the section 376C of the Indian Penal Code. Repeat offenders shall be imprisoned for life or with death. Gang rape. When a woman is raped by one or more persons constituting a group or acting in furtherance with the common intention, and each of those persons shall be liable for the imprisonment for not less than 20 years, which can be extended to imprisonment for life, and they would also be liable for the fine, and the fine will be reasonable to the medical expenses of the victim and the rehabilitation of the victim. Case studies. Bhamri Devi case, Visakha versus State of Rajasthan and others, was a leading light case concerning the protection of women against sexual harassment at workplace. Supreme Court in this case held that sexual harassment of a woman at a workplace would be in contravention of her fundamental rights of gender equality and the right to life and liberty under Article 14, 15, 19, and 21 of the Indian Constitution. This verdict laid down various gender impartiality guidelines free from harassment in both public and private employment. Later, the government enacted Sexual Harassment of Work, Women at Workplace, Prevention, Prohibition, and Redressal Act 2013, which suppressed the Visakha, which superseded the Visakha guidelines declared by the Supreme Court of India. Nirbhaya gang rape case. This rape case, which occurred in 2012, was considered as the rarest of the rare case. Various amendments were introduced in the rape laws after this heinous incident. The accused was punished with death penalty by the trial court, which was also upheld by the High Court. The Supreme Court, relying on the dying declaration of victim, had affirmed the death penalty and opined that where a crime is committed with extreme brutality and the collective conscience of the society is dismayed, courts must award capital punishment. Conclusion, need of the hour. Sexual crime is a blot on the face of any civilized society and is universally condemned. It reflects the mindset of a patriarchal dominant era. To avoid these crimes, the reformatory attitude of the society towards victim is necessary, and the task can only be accomplished when it is shared with all the wings of criminal justice system. The need of the hour is to raise awareness among people so that the crimes do not proliferate.